Morning everybody, Paul Dwyer here, CEO of Cyber Risk International. Joined this morning by my pal Toblerone, it's our cyber dog, and he is definitely one of the only good sides of making the best of a bad situation with COVID. And this morning what I want to talk about is the cyber related challenge of COVID and some of the issues that we're seeing. So I just want to give you a heads up on some of the issues and maybe some of the ways you can deal with those. The first issue I would say is around your people, your employees, your staff. They're essentially your first and your last line of defense. I would encourage you to have a look at Cyber Risk Aware. Talk to Stephen Burke, that's a cyber e-learning solution, and they are offering free phishing tests and so on based around COVID-19, and it's a fantastic product and service and an Irish solution, so well worth looking at. So again, Cyber Risk Aware, you can talk to Stephen Burke there and tell him that Toblerone sent you. The second thing I'd like to talk about is probably around your network perimeter itself. The bad guys are not going to go away. They're just seeing more and more opportunities around COVID, and certainly if we get lax around patching, around our network perimeter defense, if there's not enough attention focus there, we're going to start seeing more and more issues around there. So I would point you towards EdgeScan, and another great Irish company, fantastic solution, and you can talk to Owen Keary there. And again, tell them the Toblerone sent you to have a look at their solution. The third issue I probably want to talk to you about is actually your telephone systems. What we see is that when there's prolonged periods of time outside of offices, that telephone hacking or PBX hacking occurs on telephone systems, and they often hack in, redirect the phone numbers to premium rate phone numbers and make a killing. And you usually see this over Christmas periods or any prolonged periods that you're outside of the office. So I'd say to you is probably one of the best guys in the world on this is a guy called Paul Byrne. He actually invented a solution called PBX Wall, and I think you can find him now at Welltel. That's Paul Byrne, and don't forget to mention our friend Toblerone that sent you to him. The next one I want to talk to you about is probably around SIM swap, SIM fraud. What I noticed the other day is obviously there's going to be a lot more people working from home, a lot more people using their handsets, their mobiles in order to communicate and work with companies, and a lot more companies forcing their customers and their clients to use those handsets. And one of the ways that we often establish trust and confirm identities and so on is through the identification of the SIM in those phones. What I noticed the other day was I was actually able to go into a store and swap somebody's SIM, and I wasn't asked for identification. Now this means that obviously with the protocols around COVID, there was an awkwardness there or whatever, and the part of the protocol around the testing of me in relation to who I am and was I allowed to change that SIM did not occur. So what we're going to see is the threat surface there change dramatically. We're going to see a lot more attacks. So what I point you in the direction of, especially if you're a provider of services, if you're a bank, if you're an insurance company, something like that, and you want to protect your customers, you want to protect your clients from this kind of fraud, which is part of many, many different scams, I would encourage you to look at Phonovation. They have an excellent solution called PhonoSecure, and you can talk to Gavin Carpenter there, who is a good friend of Toblerone's actually, so you can mention Toblerone to him on that basis. So, you know, there's quite a few things we can do to protect ourselves. Obviously, from a cyber perspective especially, I'm not even going to mention because you should be washing your hands, you should be social distancing and so on. But the final point I want to talk to you about is how we can help you. CRI are fully operational at the moment. We have some robust contingency plans in place, and we continue to help our customers during these challenging times. What I want to really focus on is the fact that people's inherent cyber risk are changing now. Your workforce is working from home, you're relying more on different kinds of suppliers. So that metric around your inherent cyber risk is changing drastically. And if you're not measuring your cyber risk, you cannot manage it. So what I would encourage you to do is to watch the little demo video that I'm going to append onto this broadcast and have a look at what Cyber Prism can do. It's a remote collaboration tool. It means you can carry out cyber assessments and manage your cyber security risk program without ever having to come face to face with anybody. You know, as I say, a lot of our customers are finding it extremely useful at these times. We've got some fantastic feedback, and we'd love obviously to work with you and see if it's something that can help you. So look, stay safe. In these times, as I say, we're operational here, so we're here if anybody has issues and needs some help. And there's those companies I mentioned, all of them Irish, all of them fantastic global businesses, and it's at these times that we need to make sure that we look after Irish companies and give business to Irish companies, and we're all in this together, and hopefully talk to you soon. Take care. Hello, and you're all very welcome to this overview demonstration of CyberPrism Enterprise. My name is Paul Dwyer, CEO of CyberRisk International, and I'd like to take the next few minutes to bring you through some of the latest features and benefits of using CyberPrism. So if I just log into the system, the first screen I'm greeted with is what we refer to as the Cyber Risk Radar. What this screen is a single lens that allows you to see all the different various aspects of your business. They are the different entities or links that make up your business value chain, and that's obviously a very beneficial view screen from a macro level for a CRO or a CISO that wants to understand what their aggregated risk looks like across an enterprise. So I'm going to open up one of the assessments here and we can start looking at how the actual system works. Firstly, the first thing I need to do is calculate the inherent risk. That's the unique risk metric associated with your business model. And we do this by essentially asking you a number of questions to understand what kind of business you have. And those questions are around areas such as technologies and connection types, delivery channels, online mobile products and technology services, organizational characteristics, and external threats. So the interface looks like this, really simple and straightforward, easy to use. Here's an example. How many internet service provider connections do you have? And you simply select from the drop-down list. You can add in notes of evidence. You can even upload files to support that. And one of the cool features that we have here, and it's obviously been very beneficial now around the crisis we have around COVID, is for remote workers. The solution has been designed to be fully collaborative, works fully remotely, and you can actually assign different questions and different work tasks to different users within your team. So we can just simply select there and then we can track all of those tasks. Very simple, very straightforward, and easy to use. The next stage is what we call stage 2. So in stage 1, I've worked out what you are. I've understood your business model. The algorithm has run and it's calculated utilizing and leveraging business and cyber threat intelligence feeds to calculate a very accurate metric of the risk posed to your business from cyber elements. Now I need to understand what you have in place, and I do this by offering up a number of declarative statements. I'll describe what I mean by these in a moment. Those declarative statements are based around essentially 5 different domains or 5 different areas, because we see cyber security, cyber risk management as something that's holistic across your business and not just in cybersecurity controls. So we look at areas like cyber incident management and resilience. We look at cyber risk management and oversight, external dependency, how are you managing your vendors, threat intelligence and collaboration. And as I say, this is done through declarative statements. So let's have a look at one of these. If I, for example, go to something really specific and easy for us all to understand, we have a declarative statement that says an inventory of organizational assets, e.g. hardware, software, data and systems is hosted externally, is maintained. Now you simply say true or false. There is no subjectivity here. This is binary. You give your answer true or false, so that this is an attestation, a statement that you are declaring that you simply have this. Again, you can add in some evidence. Again, you can upload evidence. Again, you can assign the question to somebody if you want within your team. But let's say you're not entirely sure of what good looks like, or what you have in place around a particular declarative statement is relevant or appropriate. What you can do is, and this is a unique feature of CyberPrism, is we have mapped the control nexus of all of these declarative statements. So in other words, what we've done is we have actually cross-mapped each of these declarations to the top 10 international standards and frameworks. And here we point you at the specific control numbers where you can find out the guidance of what good looks like, so you can make that informed decision. And again, very simple, save and continue, and you work to the next stage. Once you have completed those 2 stages, your inherent risk, what are you? Where's your risk coming from based on your business model? Stage 2, what have you got in place? The system is now able to run its magic and start creating metrics and scores and giving you some feedback. So if I go into the cyber score section, we see here an overall high-level score of 573 out of 999. So what does that mean? Well, 999 would mean that you are meeting your inherent risk level based on the maturity of the controls you have in place. If you're not up to 999, and that is a specific score based on your inherent risk answers that you gave. So 999 isn't for everybody. It's your target score for your specific business model, and the weighting of the scores and how it calculates that changes depending on the answers you give in your inherent risk section. So what we're seeing here is that this organization has a score of 573. That would indicate that it's got a fair level of security, and essentially the tip of that needle from the yellow
right to the bottom of the dark green is what we're identifying as a residual risk. That's where you want to focus your efforts on dealing with this. So let's get a better understanding of what we mean by the relationship between inherent risk and maturity. So when we completed the inherent risk section, that gave us a metric of 396. That gives us a score of 396. So what that's indicating is, based on this business model, the organization is sitting in a level of what we refer to as minimal risk. Therefore, it would suggest that the maturity of the controls should be somewhere between baseline and intermediate. Now, cybersecurity maturity is cumulative, so you need to start with baseline and work your way up. And that's a very important thing to understand as we go through. You cannot simply go out and buy solutions up at an innovative level and hope they're going to work, or an advanced level and hope that they're going to work. It's not getting away from where your risks are being existing down at the baseline, maybe a revolving level. So let me go a little bit deeper into the dashboards and we can make some more sense of this. Firstly, in the inherent risk section, what I can see here is full transparency. Where's my inherent risk score coming from? And I can break down into the various different levels and find out what's making those scores up and where I'm actually getting my risk level from. But I'm more interested in the maturity piece, because generally inherent risk is hard to change. You are what you are. It's very different. If anything, the risk levels tend to go up over time as your business grows, as it increases, more employees, more offices, more technology, your inherent risk tends to go up. But let's look at the maturity here for a second. Here I can see that I can break down each of those 5 domains I mentioned. I've got cyber incident management and resilience. I've got risk management and oversight, my cybersecurity controls themselves, my external dependency management, and my threat intelligence and collaboration. And of course, I've got a summary there, and a breakdown within each of those domains is very useful. And of course, then I can actually look at what levels I'm at of those domains against each maturity level. So the system is fantastic at producing these dashboards, this management information, so you can get an understanding of what's going on. But look, this is about understanding what's behind those charts, so you can actually take action. And if we look, for example, here at this example of cyber incident management and resilience, the first thing I notice is, fantastic, you're spending lots of money up at the innovative level, lots of things at the advanced level. But going back to your inherent risk score, let's have a look at that score there for a second. Your maturity level of your controls needs to be between baseline and intermediate, but you're spending money at advanced and innovative. So let's go back. Let's see what we've got here, and we can drill down on these things. So if I go straight into the maturity section again, what I can see here is, I'm just going to switch those off for a second. Everything is fully interactive. And I'm really concerned about the delta I have here at baseline. The business is spending tons of money, focusing lots of resources up at the advanced and innovative level, but those controls may not necessarily work if I have gaps down at baseline, evolving, and intermediate. So this is where I want my focus to be. So I can drill straight down on that, and I can actually see what I've got behind there. The system is fully interactive, so what I'm able to see is actually show me what I don't have in place, and it will create a list. And there's a list of all the things I don't have in place at baseline level around cyber incident management and resilience. Now, let's say, for example, I was running something like an ISO 27001 project. I can even filter it by that, and I can actually just look at all the controls I don't have in place. Again, the features such as assigning the risks or exporting that task list is so simple. Press sorry, I just meant to click on the buttons there. Select all of those things listed, and if I export those things, that just spits that straight out down into a spreadsheet, and I can email that spreadsheet off to somebody, or I can simply assign these tasks to a particular user if I want. So all really straightforward, all really easy to use. Let me go back to the dashboards here for a second. If I go back here, I've looked at my inherent risk, I've looked at my maturity. Let's look at the executive dashboard. So in the executive dashboard, there's 3 KPIs or 3 KPIs that you want to literally track on a regular basis. So what the system does is, it's easier if we look at last year here on this sample, is that we're able to actually track every month, is the inherent risk level of the business changing? Is the score changing? And is the residual risk changing? Because what you want is that red line to be coming down all the time. And this is a great board for the report to use, for the board to use to actually track what's happening progress-wise. The system also creates some nice gap analysis there, so that the board can very easily understand in one snapshot of where the risks are. We also further break down the key risk indicators, right down through the different domain levels, right down into the sub-factors and components. You can see actually where those risks are, where improvement needs to be, and of course you can filter all of these things out, all of the tasks out. Everything is completely transparent. So because we cross-map to those top 10 standards and international frameworks that I mentioned, one of the things we're able to do is produce GDPR dashboards. Because those controls in there relate back to your efforts around GDPR compliance and so on. Again, very quick snapshot. Again, you can drill down, filter out all the activities that you need to do around there. Now, the system itself is more than just an assessment tool, but from an assessment point of view, what you want to be able to do is create really good reports. And we've got excellent reports and a different set of reports depending on the target audience that you might use. I'm going to show you two sample ones here for a moment. So if I give you a quick look at the menu of reports there, you can see that we break down each of the domain levels. But two that I think may be of interesting is the full report and the FinSec report. So let me just open up those for a second. So here, what we're looking at is a full cyber assessment report produced in Microsoft Word, fully editable. I'm just going to zoom in, give you a better chance to look at some of the detail around that. And you can see here, this is a very, very comprehensive report. I think there's actually over 300 pages in this particular one because of the way the system has generated based on the gaps that are identified in the sample. So as I go through here, you can see it's customized, puts in the logos, puts in all the relevant information on how the assessment was carried out, how we looked at the inherent risk of the business, how that's calculated, how the maturity was assessed, all the different areas of the business that were assessed through that, how the scoring works, how the relationship works, and then we start getting down into the results themselves, so we can actually start understanding where the business is situated from a risk perspective. Lots of good information there, lots of good findings, reports, all the evidence is in here, all the notes, everything that's been taken by the auditors that have gone through the system, the GDPR breakdown. And one of the really cool features of this system is that it's able to generate a roadmap, a maturity roadmap, a suggested maturity roadmap. And it does this and cross-references every recommendation it makes to the top 10 standards again and the top 10 controls. So we'll see this down here a little bit further. Lots of text there. Sorry about your eyes. I'm sure this isn't the nicest thing to be flying in front of you at the moment, but just to give you an idea of the kind of information that's in this system as we go through. So let me see. Here's our roadmap, and you can see we break it down here by the top 10 areas. We can go through that, and then it's factually recording each of the recommendations made at each maturity level and breaking that through to. So it's giving you what you need to do. It's giving you your plan of what you need to implement. But I mentioned the FinSec report, so let me just open that one for a second and give you an idea of what's behind that. So there's one thing holistically understanding as a maybe you're a cyber risk professional, cybersecurity professional, all of the different areas. But for financial service companies specifically, or those working with financial service companies, one of the challenges is being able to understand where you are from a regulatory stance, and to understand some of the maybe non-specific guidance that's giving rather than specific controls that comes from regulators. So what we did here is we actually create a report that will break down the results and contrast them against the likes of the guidance from the G7 Cyber Fundamentals. From the European Central Bank, we have the minimum expectations around cyber resilience, that the guidance given from the Central Bank of Ireland and the National Cybersecurity Centre in Ireland. And we do this, you can see again, all in Microsoft Word format, so you can completely edit this document. It explains the whole audit process, the guidance that is provided there. And as we get into each of the different areas and we look at the results of this particular organization, you can see that it will start contrasting it against the different guidance provided. So for example here, cyber incident management resilience, I'm looking at the guidance from the NCSC in relation to that particular area. As I go down further through the document, I can go down into a more granular level and I can get into things, for example, if I look at the guidance from the Central Bank of Ireland around cyber incident management resilience by factor, and it breaks down each of those areas. So I can actually look at where I am and what I'm being told of where I should be from a guidance perspective. And then we get much more detailed level at a drill down here in relation to the minimum expectations from the ECB, the European Central Bank. So all good information there, all useful information, and something very worthwhile using for an organization, especially in the financial sector, or if you're providing services to the financial sector. Now, as I come to close here, just one more menu to show you, which is the share results, which is within our action section. We also can export all the cyber metrics if you're working with a third-party system. We have a gap analysis control panel, which allows you to quickly bulk answer questions or manipulate the findings in ways that you want to do in a bulk fashion rather than question by question or declaration by declaration. And we have the cyber docs area, which is a new feature, and what that allows you to do is you can enter in there and it will create a set of templates customized for your business in relation to building out your cyber risk framework. But there's one other feature before I go that I want to show you. Is if I go back to the cyber risk radar screen, I want to show you the global dashboards. So at the start I mentioned to you that these are the various entities of your business and the various different sections that make up the risk. So let's, for argument's sake, pretend that this is a breakdown of your business. But what I want to do is I want to cherry pick maybe the head office. I might want to use a key supplier, so I'm going to cherry pick one there. I'm going to use maybe one of the regional offices. And these might be the entities that make up a particular delivery channel or a particular service. So I don't want to look at everything. I don't want to look at one thing specifically. I want to combine and aggregate the risk of how I operate using these suppliers or these particular areas across the business. So I'll just cherry pick a few of those, and then when I go into the global dashboards, the system is actually able to combine the risk levels of those, look at my key performance indicators. Am I going up, am I going down across those areas? I can again drill down, and all of the charts are available to me again. I can look at inherent risk, all the different things that break down across those three entities, all the different maturity levels across those three entities combined, and of course the executive dashboards. So look, I hope you found this demo interesting, useful, and if you're interested, please visit our website at cri.ie or cyberprism.com, and you'll find much more information. And I suggest strongly that you click on the demo request button so that we can actually provide you with an online demonstration of this, a one-to-one demonstration of this, and how it will help your business from day one. So thank you for your time, and hopefully talk soon. Cheers, bye.